Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. We already have around 80 people on this call. And my name is Gaurav Arora. Let me just quickly take this opportunity to welcome all of you on behalf of xMonks. xMonks is an ecosystem that brings to you world-class coaches, leaders, experts, business leaders from various walks of life for personal transformation and leadership development. I started my journey around 2005 when I was just exposed to coaching. I used to work for one of the leadership development companies in the country, and least did I expect that this journey would be such long. And when I was exposed to coaching, it was primarily around language. So there would be a person who would stand, who would sit in front of you, who would ask several questions. And of course, you will respond to that question and you would reflect on that questions as well. And there would be a lot of um, shift within that you're going to experience. And as I continued my journey, I realized that coaching is not only about language. What is also required is the way you integrate emotions in the game, the way you integrate your body in the game as well. And that's where what we call as the holistic coaching. And the journey has been phenomenal for me. A lots of ups and downs, a lot of rejections, a lot of times where we could look at what coaching is all about. And as most of you are aware, and most of you have already enrolled for the coaching conference that we are coming up with. So just stay tuned till the end of this session because we are going to offer to you some special discounts. It's a flash discount that we have for today only. We are going to come up with some really amazing discounts, and what you can expect in the coaching conference is 36 hours of non-stop conference, world-class speakers coming, again, sharing their wisdom, their knowledge around what it is all about, right? So that's where it is, ladies and gentlemen. So my sincere request is stay tuned, stay here till the last of the session. And coming back to today's conversation, I've got a very dear friend, Florian Brody, and he's the one who has been totally immersed into coaching individuals, not only at the head level, not only using language, but also using how you can actually include the heart part of an individual. How can you actually experience emotions in the conversations? How can you actually involve somatics in the conversation? So ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Florian. Florian has been a coach for over 20 years, growing up in Australia, growing up in Austria and living and working with the Silicon Valley. Amazing gentleman. First time when I spoke to him, in his voice, I could experience the presence of a Zen. And I'm sure you're going to experience that as well, as we are going to further explore and dig deeper into that. He's been teaching at different universities in Europe and the US for over 30 years, and have worked with teams from 2% startups to the Fortune 500 companies. He holds professional credentialing PCC certification from ICF and served as the Vice President of San Francisco Bay Area chapter as well. So ladies and gentlemen, without taking much of your time, please welcome Florian to help us explore what it means to coach an individual, both at the language level and emotions level, as well as at the body level. So let's see as he helps us to dance on these three numbers simultaneously, using coaching and leveraging and coaching at the heart level, the body level, as well as the mind level. So Florian, thank you so much. Welcome to the xMonks ecosystem, and this platform is Coaching Matters, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. Over to you. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. I guess most people are in India. Gaurav, thank you so much. I'm very honored and I'm deeply moved that you invited me to this amazing series of events that you are hosting. It's an honor and a pleasure to speak today. And I'm deeply grateful because my work, not only as a coach, but over the last 35, 40 years has always focused around people. And today to speak about this topic that is so close to my heart, I think is really amazing because, as you mentioned, I grew up in Central Europe, I grew up in Austria. I worked in many, many countries and I worked in many fields. And this allows me to coach from a not in a position of knowledge, but also from a position of presence. And today I'm in the Silicon Valley, which is a very, very different culture. So this is wonderful that I can be with you and all the participants. I see there are over 100.
Yes.
To talk about this really, really important topic.
Thank you. So let's dive deeper into that, Florian. Florian, let's get into that. I would love to hear from you. How did your journey as a coach begin? How was it? How did you get introduced to this world of coaching?
I think this is a question that is very close for me, and that I think is very important for those who are working as coaches and those who are not yet working as coaches. My belief is that many of those I meet who are coaches have always been coaches, even before they knew it. It's a certain way of being. It's those who truly coach from body, mind, and heart, and who, and I understand that you see coaching that way as well. Those have always been coaches in a certain way. And coaching, as we know it today, is relatively new. But there have always been guides. Sometimes they're called spiritual guides. Sometimes they don't talk too much about spiritual. I recall that you gave an interview recently where you pointed out that the whole terminology of spiritual can be very taboo in many, especially in business environments. And I found myself, I started off at an early age in the film and media industry. I worked as a fashion photographer. My academic background is in linguistics and computer science. I worked many years as a software engineer. And then I was finally able to integrate my interests in narratives and storytelling with computer science. And I started to work in a field that was called multimedia at the time. It doesn't exist anymore. Because today, nobody even questions the ability to have video in a computer. And then I made this move from Vienna to Los Angeles, working on the beach. It was very strange. And but I was always searching. And I was always interested, how do I interact with people? So fast forward, after co-founding 5 startups in Silicon Valley, doing a lot of work in marketing in companies like Novartis, Apple, Amazon, Philips, I realized I really want to work with people. Sometimes I jokingly say, I no longer want to work in marketing, selling stuff to people they don't need, but to actually really connect with people. And it's only after I completed this 1 year, very, very intense coaching training, professional coaching training at a school in San Francisco. And I'm very grateful to James Flaherty, the founder of New Ventures West, for building a coaching program that is so deeply connected to us as humans, that I realized that I've always been a coach.
Beautiful.
And it's almost like you cannot become a coach. You can declare that you're a coach. But in a certain way, it's within us. And this is really also part of what I would like to talk about today. I don't know about your country. I know about many countries in Europe and the US, where at some places coaching is regulated as a profession. In some places, it's enough to spend money on business cards to be a coach. And this sometimes makes it difficult for us. I mean, we are both members of the International Coach Federation. As you mentioned, I was the vice president of a chapter. I attended executive leadership meetings with ICF. I'm still involved in the ICF ethics group, which I think is very, very important for us as coaches. But it's how you understand yourself. And I think this is really the core of not only to understand what it means to be a coach, what does it mean to be human?
Mm.
Because ultimately, as one of my teachers pointed out, we live here this life and we are confronted with many challenges. And you would think the biggest, as Norman Fisher, one of my teachers, pointed out, he's an amazing poet based in San Francisco. He teaches Jewish meditation and is a Zen priest. He pointed out the two most difficult things that humans do is being born and dying. And everything else between should be relatively easy. But we are confronted with challenges. And as coaches, we want to support humans, the people we work with, by deeply connecting with them, to support them in growing and addressing these challenges.
Thank you, Florian. Yeah, I just want to check. Is it the case with only Sumit and Dhruti, or its audio is working fine? Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead, Florian. Thank you so much. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, this is. I'm grateful that I can be with you on the screen, but this is about all of us. And we do it. We're in this together. And while as we know in the webinar, we can't see the other participants, but they are here. They are holding space for us that allows you and me to have this wonderful conversation. And I can feel everybody being there. And this is so powerful. I brought a few slides. Would you like me to share them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Let me see that I will try to do this right, okay? Does that work?
Absolutely, yes. Please go ahead.
So that's me. I am, as I said, I'm based in San Francisco. So here it is 7 o'clock in the morning. And I've been here for over 20 years, but I'm originally from Austria. Very different. Unfortunately, and I have to admit this, I've never been to India, but I would love to come, and I hope there will be an opportunity. But today, we're all on Zoom. And as we realize, especially when we coach on Zoom, it's very tempting to only stay in the mind. Yeah. So who am I? And this is a question for you. If we would all be together in a room, then you guys would be all capable of sharing who you are. So let's take a moment that you can quietly do this introduction. You probably will only hear yourself, but that's okay. And take a moment to reflect how you connect to all the other over 100 people who are together here with us. And also consider where you are at this very moment in your life, in your day. And for many of you, it will be evening. For me, it's 7:15 in the morning. And we're together on a journey. There are lots of things to do. And we may be on one end of this big journey and never see the other one. And we are out in an exciting environment in the ocean. And you know what? Maybe we'll never see it. Because we sit in our little balcony and we don't even get the perspective. So what does it mean to be together? What does it mean to experience your body? Maybe it's this type of journey where we're really connected. This is the way I understand coaching. And when we're very aware of our own body and where we sit and where we stand, then we can connect to others even when we coach over Zoom. In fact, what I often do is I coach standing. It's one of the things, and we all know that there's certain things where you think, gee, I should have done this 5 years ago. This year I got a desk that I can move up and down. Highly recommended. Not only it's healthier not to sit the whole day, but it's also interesting to see how differently you connect to people on Zoom or other digital devices when you're able to move your body in different positions. And sometimes we're alone. And this leads me to this question that I think is at the core of coaching. And I'm very much look forward to this amazing event that Gaurav put together, a 36-hour journey. And I picked up on this topic because I've been studying emptiness on a different perspective. So I look very much forward to hear from others. And please excuse me, my knowledge of Sanskrit is absolutely zero. So thank you for the internet to provide the characters. The reality that as we study and as we study the way, we get to know ourselves. And as we get to know ourselves, we can forget ourselves. And this opens up to amazing opportunities. Because one of the big challenges when we coach is to coach our clients the way we are and the way we want to be, rather than deeply listening. And this is why I believe it's so important as a coach that we continuously work on our own personal development, because this is not what's meant with emptiness. That's not it. Emptiness is presence, being right here. Take a moment and breathe. And realize where we sit. And the biggest obstacle to learning is to say, oh yeah, I know. The moment you say, I know, and it's so tempting. My world is upside down. I have so many problems. I don't know what to do. And you're like, yeah, I know. It's hard. And like that, you kill it. Let me share with you a poem. We look with uncertainty beyond the old choices for clear-cut answers, to softer, more permeable aliveness, which is every moment at the brink of death. Something new is born in us, if we but let it. We stand in a new doorway, awaiting that which comes, daring to be human creatures, vulnerable to the beauty of existence, learning to love. A poem by Anne Hillman. And I would be happy, Gaurav, we can talk about that, to share the material after the session. So how do we support our clients, the people we work with? And I still have a hard time, both in English, and I speak English and German and some French, to find the right word. Are they clients? Are they coachees? Weird word. Are they learners? Are they partners on a journey? I'm not sure. Do we really want to teach them stuff? Or do we want to empower them? Now, this quote has been widely attributed to Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, a French guy who wrote the famous book, Little Prince, and was an aviator in the war. And the fact that he never, ever said that doesn't matter. Teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. And it's this yearning that we cannot bring only through the mind, because you have to feel it in your heart and you have to feel it in your body. So if we would be together in a room, I would do this exercise with you. Rather than but, I know, yes, and is the answer. It's actually a practice from improv theater, where you learn to take a text and continue it, to open up new opportunities. How do you approach coaching? Do you know? Because, come on, we learned it, we studied, we've been doing this, we are professionals. Or are you ready to wonder? Are you ready to keep a beginner's mind? Now, you may say this quote is from Shunryu Suzuki, a Japanese guy who went to California to bring the practice of Zen meditation. And he was really focusing on meditation to the West. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert minds, there are few. The guy had no economic interests and built an amazing followership. But that's beside the point. Be ready to think every day, how does it work? And there was another guy who had slightly more money. And he said, in the times of rapid change, experience can be your worst enemy. And of course, as coaches, we are experienced. And we should always keep this in mind. What can we learn? We can learn from this very, very old text from the 10th century. The teaching of a whole lifetime, what we can learn is to find an appropriate response. It's not about being smart. And we have to be very careful, because when we coach, especially when we coach in a way where we focus on problems, where we focus on improving our client, there can be a lot of emotional and karmic damage. So it's really about deeply listening to the heart. Now, what's the heart? Is that the heart? Or is that the heart? Or that? And the heart is inside the body. And we feel the heart. And one of the big challenges of our culture is this, I respect that today we come together as many, many different cultures. Yeah? And you may have completely different experiences depending on where exactly you live, how you grew up, and your cultural and social environment. Yeah? We have a challenge with the body. We can calculate the body. But more often than not, especially when we do coaching or so-called business coaching, we consider the body as a convenient way to drag the mind through the day. We train the body, we do a workout, make sure it's healthy. But think for a moment, where is you? Are you up there and down there is the body? Or are you really sitting in your body? This is why I invite all my coaches, learners, clients to practice meditation. Because it's the way to really experience your body and your heart, and to connect with your body and your heart. And it's very, very hard, because I just spoke to a guy 2 weeks ago, and he says, And he says he's a coach. And I said, meditation? Oh my God, no, I could not meditation. I would do meditation if there's a way to win. And I said, well, the challenge is in meditation, you cannot get a black belt. You can't be the best. Oh, and I'm not interested. If you find a way that I can optimize meditation so I can do it in 1 minute, what other people do in 20, I'm there. Call me right away. Maybe I can be the best meditator. So where is me? Where is I? You remember the question I asked at the beginning? Is it there? It's actually a monkey brain. But I thought it shows us how difficult it is to understand where's the mind. And I'm just quickly looking at the chat, and I'm sorry for everybody who puts mindful things in the chat. I don't read the chat because I want to be there for everybody, but I'm happy to go over that. And at the very end, I put my email, so you're welcome to reach out anytime. And so maybe here, Robert Flood was a philosopher in the 16th century in England. And he wrote this huge book in Latin that is almost incomprehensible, but he has this beautiful drawing that I don't want to go into detail, but it's so wonderful how he thought, how the world, how we perceive the world, and how the different levels of the world are inside of our brain. And as we know now, the understanding of the brain was very different at the time. A friend of mine who is a highly trained surgeon, head of a big surgery department, always says in medicine, every text starts with, we used to believe, but now we know. And this for the last 500 years. We don't know anything. And it's okay. But what we can do is we can practice coaching in the right way. There is this book by Stelter. Stelter worked on the question on how different levels of coaching work. As you know, coaching started off with sports coaching. It was mainly concerned with the body. And it was concerned with being the fastest, jumping the highest, being the most precise in the movement. Unfortunately, very often people also do what is, no matter which spiritual practice you adhere to, definitely not appropriate, and that is increasing your delusion by taking drugs. Very unhealthy, and many high-end athletes, as you know, have big body problems. So from this first level of coaching on problem solving, improving performance outside, what he calls second generation coaching focuses on internal improvements, offering new and future developments. And many coaches coach on this level in order to coach with body, heart, and mind. You have to actually open up to a third generation coaching, which is now really finding its way throughout the world. And that coaching is process-centric. So we address the client's self-experience. We work on powerful deepening awareness, and we're allowing the client to get unstuck. Because as coaches, we have one big danger, and that is trying to have our client be exactly how we are. We are very quiet, we are very aware of things, we are very open, silently listening. And we tell our client, that's what you should do. Or we are the active person, get-go-getter. He says, come on, why do you sit around? Do something. But maybe the client is completely different. And this is where we speak and we feel, and where we invite our client into the body. Because we have to be very careful that we don't put our own preconceptions into the client. that we create a coaching plan that is according to our wishes, and that we implement our own agenda. So depending on which level of coaching you work, and that depends also what the client is, because you cannot coach a client deeper than the client is. In fact, you probably always have to coach one level higher. Now, based on the work by Eckhart Tolle and also by Steve Marsh, a teacher in California with whom I studied for several years, a fourth generation of coaching was developed that is really focused on presence. Presence as the catalyst for unfoldment and development. And in this presence, you can actually work with emptiness. And this is difficult to understand. And I very much look forward to the 36 hours with Gaurav and all the others to learn more about the different perspectives. And the topic is differently understood in the West, there's no question. So this is going to be very exciting. So there are different levels of intentionality. How do you go from goal, which leads to results, to purpose, which through motivation leads to effects, to coach on the level of meaning to create values? Because our goal as coaches is to meet our client exactly where they are. We help people to reorganize their impediments based on their natural flow, exactly where they are in the present. And this work requires creativity and presence, because we all have our path. And is often not seen. Let me share another poem. William Stafford was an American poet. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you're pursuing. You have to explain about the thread, but it's hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and you get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding, but you don't ever let go of the thread. To supporting our clients there and to understand where is the focus. And very often this happens. And we have to go back to the focus. Because we understand where we are. And as Gaurav so beautifully said in a recent interview, when he spoke about spirituality and spirituality in coaching, it's coming back to our home. So where is our home? Jane Hirschfield allowed me to use this. A recent poem by her. Where is your home? The interviewer asked him. Bodhidharma said, here. No, the interviewer said, thinking of a problem in translation. When you are where you actually live. Now it was his, Bodhidharma's way to think, perhaps the translation. Bodhidharma was the guy who brought Zen to China. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Florian. I think that was Zen-like. I'm sure people would have loved it. Now, let me just take a pause and let me just ask our audience, what's that one word that you're left with right now as you just heard Florian sharing her understanding of shunyata, his understanding of shunyata, his understanding of presence, his understanding of emptiness. What's that one word which is resonating with you right now? Amazing session, mesmerizing. The mind permeates the entire body. Deep, empty serenity, emptiness, unlearned, blank, empty, home, calm, peace, introspection, focus, complete. Presence, meeting people exactly where they are. Empty, I don't know. What a class, I'm here. Listening, thread, mesh, focus, neutrality, power of emptiness, insightful. You have my respect. Core gratitude, presence, grateful. Meet the client where the client is. Florian, welcome to India. I generally take pride in saying that I think one of the best gifts that the India has to offer to the world is spirituality. This reminds me, I was in Austin a few years back, and I was sitting in at a place called Mount Bornell, and it's a place which is the highest of the peak, and from there you can actually see a mesmerizing sunset. And there I was sitting, and this gentleman came. He said, "Hey, hello," and I looked back, and he said, "By any chance, are you from the same place where people talk about spirituality more than anything else?" And I took a pause, smiled, went to him, and I said, "Yes." But at the same time, people do talk about other diversities as well. People do talk about technology these days as well. People talk about the doctors that we produce. People do talk about the engineers that we have. And yes, at the core of everything, the thread that weaves everything together is spirituality, who you are. And no wonder India is the one that has actually given the gift of shunya, zero in literal sense, to the world as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming up with a conference called A Journey into Shunya and Expansion. Let me just take you through 3 slides, and then I'll open the floor for any questions that you have. The journey that we are going to start, the coaching conference that we have, this is on 25th and 26th of this month. This is the biggest conference of the year, I can promise you. 36 hours, non-stop coaching marathon. I don't think that anyone would have done that in the world. And when I was talking to my team, and we were actually saying, have we gone nuts? What are we up to? Would we be able to pull it together? And I said, even if we will not be able to pull it together, at least we will have several ways what not to do in the next conference. And I'm sure next year there would be somebody who will do it really well. And as one of my friends and one of my coaches and one of my mentors, he tells me that even if you don't do it, what you've dreamt for, somebody else is going to do that. And that's a sense of gratitude to the world. At least you have inspired an idea, you have inspired a dream in somebody. And if you're not being able to execute it, does not really matter. It would get executed. I'm sure even if we fail this time, and fail, there could be some technical glitches, there could be possibility that a speaker might not show up, there could be a possibility that you might not enjoy that, but I'm sure somebody's going to make this dream a possibility. And if not, next year I'm sure we'll take some other stepping stone from the journey that we are going to learn. So as I mentioned, there are 50 plus global speakers coming, and we are offering 42 CC units from ICF as well, 36 hours non-stop marathon. There are 3 sub-tracks that we are going to talk about. The first one is expression. The second one is connection. The third one is contribution. And look at the kind of speakers who are coming. Somebody who's coming to talk about the dance between ego and identity, ego and purpose, ego and soul. Somebody's going to talk about how can we actually tap into the story of an individual. Somebody's talking about coming back home. In fact, Peggy, she's like a sister to me. She's going to talk about what it means to come back home. Or somebody's going to deliver a demo session. A few of the best speakers are coming and talking about different forms of expression, how they connect with expression. The second theme is connection. And my teacher is going to come and talk about connection. Marilyn Atkinson. I'm sure most of you would have heard about Marilyn from me during our programs. We have got somebody talking about the leadership circle. And the third theme is contribution, right? How can you actually use and leverage your gifts and talents that you've been blessed with to contribute to the others, right? I'll come back to this and the special offer that we have. Let's take a couple of questions for Florian, and then I'll take you through the platform that we are going to use, what all is available on that platform, how is it going to use the app that you're going to download. And I'm sure, but without your support, we'll not be able to do that. As Florian mentioned, that if it's not for your presence, I don't think that we can do it alone. So thank you so much for all your encouragement, all your love, all your blessings. And I'm genuinely grateful to all of you for coming here every second and fourth Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. So let's get back and let's see questions that we have for Florian. So Florian, here's the first question. The first question is, in destructive system of hierarchical, how processes can be centric? I'm not sure if I have understood the question, but would love for you to.
Maybe yeah, I'm not clear either.
No worries. Let's take another question, and I would request if, in case you can.
Maybe we can get a clarification. I'd be happy to answer the question if I understand it. And
Sure.
maybe I can't.
Which is okay. Let's look at this question. How do I align mind, body, and heart towards one goal on self-realization? That's a good question by Senthil. Senthil, thank you so much for this question. How do I align mind, body, and heart towards one goal of self-realization?
Letting go of the goal. As long as you try to reach a goal, it's very hard to align. It's there's this story of somebody trying to learn Eastern practice of shooting with a bow, and the teacher tells him, as long as you try to get to the center, as long as you try to let go, it doesn't work. By giving up on the goal, you can reach it. This may sound, how should I reach it if I don't go for my goal? But just accepting it is probably the way to go. And you may have, we all have different spiritual practices. But by sensing the ground. So if you want to have one practice, make sure that you practice by body scan or the methodology that is appropriate for your practice to feel the connectedness to the world we're in and to the people around us.
Yeah, thank you. And as you said it, that you don't become a coach, you just declare yourself as a coach. And this is very much in alignment to what you just mentioned. For as long as you're trying, you'll not be able to reach there, because trying has a lot of efforts. And as one of my teachers, Richard Barrett, talks about, that it comes from a space of ego, that I have to try and I can make it happen. So ladies and gentlemen, I know that it's a little esoteric, but what my understanding is, and that's what Florian is talking about, just experience, and shows up whatever shows up. So thank you, Florian. Let's come to the next question. It's natural to have parallel thoughts when you listen. How do you control that and stay with the thread, achieve presence?
One of the things that we as coaches really need to train is to deeply listen. And it's difficult because in modern culture, especially in Western culture, multitasking is something that everybody tries. Now, we know the brain can't do it, but still we try. So while somebody talks, we think about something else. Most often, and this is something where you can observe yourself, is we think, what are we going to answer? And so just now, when Gaurav and thank you for reading the questions. Of course, it is extremely tempting for me to think, okay, so he's going to come with the questions. Okay, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Rather than, will I be able to come up with something smart? Just deeply listening. And you can practice that, and you can practice it amongst other. That's why supervision, that's why reciprocal coaching is important, because I believe every coach has to have a coach. And one of the things that supports deeply listening is the ability to have somebody who listens to you, that you feel heard. When you feel heard with your heart, then you can also listen. So parallel thoughts. Is it it's natural to have parallel? Yes, of course it's natural. Yeah, I mean, the radio in our head runs continuously. what is known in Zen as monkey brain. Yeah, and I've found many explanations where they try to tell you how to stop it. Well, it would be sad if we don't think anymore. That means we're dead. But to allow the thoughts to come and go and to accept them is probably the way to go. Do we need to use diagnostic tools? And do we really need to use healing therapies in order to be effective as a coach? We're not therapists. Diagnostic tools. The only tool, if you may want to call it, that I work with, and I wouldn't call it a tool, is the Enneagram. And I don't really use it as a tool. But I think the Enneagram, which is a very old, now renewed way of getting to know yourself, allows for openings.
Thank you, Florian.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the way you stated that, how to deal with the parallel thoughts, and when you're talking about thoughts, I think what's coming to me is, for as long as I've been able to observe thoughts as transient and impermanent without getting attached to them, they will serve us and move out. We don't need to get attached to them. We don't need to react to them. I think that's where the trick is. And I think that takes a lifetime journey to master that. So thank you so much. In fact, when you spoke about not being heard, that's one of the tracks that we are going to talk about, where one of the tracks is expression, and how every time when you don't feel heard in any of the relationships, whether you are talking to your partner or you're talking to your husband, your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your teacher or your parents or your boss or your manager or your team member, every time when you don't feel heard, your expression gets compromised and you feel as if your soul has been tormented. It's totally destroyed in that moment. And I think that's what is required. How can I be fully present to my thoughts as well? And that's what connection is all about. Now, if you permit, Florian, let me ask you one more question, and then I will take them back to the journey. One question for you is, how would you define balance in coaching terminology or in spiritual form?
That is a very good question. In coaching terminology, it really depends. I mean, we have so many different coaching schools, yeah. But to the way we define balance in the practice that I studied, which is integral coaching, it's a certain way of depth for the client, where the client is able to balance the challenges he or she is exposed to. So the level above is that addressing immediate concerns, which means the client is in a situation where there are so many everyday problems that he or she can't even think about anything else. Yeah? And below that, yeah, is a level of a conversation where the client becomes able, yeah, to actually talk about the challenges. Yeah? And depending on where we are. Now, in spiritual ways, that's a question. It's opening up to your own spirituality without talking about religion. Yeah? And I, Gaurav, and this is a topic I would love to discuss in more detail with you and with the others, is this whole movement trying to brush mindfulness and meditation clean of all religion. Yeah? And have, oh, don't worry, we don't have to have that. It's all scientific. Yeah? And then it becomes stale. it doesn't connect anymore, because people are so scared. And this scaredness is something that we have to address as coaches. So I very much look forward to the 36 hours. It's going to be amazing.
Precisely. As I just heard this question, such an amazing question. How do you bring balance in true sense in coaching or in spiritual form? And the words which are coming to me is balance is when you can assist the other person, when you allow the other person to bring in the internal stability and external equilibrium.
Yes. Yes.
Another question that I would ask myself when I'm talking about balance is balance between what and what, balance between whom and whom, balance between within myself, balance in the environment that I'm a part of. And that's a path that could actually lead us to a sense of non-duality. Now, balance, if you look at from a space of separateness, it would have a very different definition. But the moment you start to look at balance from a space of oneness, it would have a very different perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, trust me, we are going to have such discussions during the conference as well. Now, let me just quickly take you, thank you, Florian. Let me just quickly take you to what you can expect. So the moment you register, you'll be given an access to the portal that we have. You'll be able to download a app as well. This is how it's going to look like, right? So the moment you log in with your name, with your mail ID, you will get a code. You will get an OTP. The moment you put in the OTP, this is how the reception area looks like to you. Once you have the reception area, you will find all the agendas, right? All the feature speakers here. Now, the interesting part is you can actually customize that. You might not want to listen to all the tracks, right? There are parallel tracks which are going on, which I'm going to take you through, right? So you may want to have your own itinerary. Hey, I would like to listen to this person and that person and this person and that person. And I promise you're not going to miss anything. Why? Because you'll be given an access to all the recordings as well, right? Here we are partners with Ericsson Coaching International, the Leadership Circle. You'll find some videos here. Once you click on the agenda, it will tell you what all is there on 25th of September. You will have the keynote speak. You'll have somebody who's going to talk about, Nathan is a friend. He's going to talk about how he ran 27 marathons in 27 days, and that too for a cause. Right? It is crazy, right? Why would you run 27 marathons in 27 days in 27 different countries in Europe? So that means you need to travel from one country to another. Now, this gentleman covered 1 million steps. He's an author of an amazing book, right? Amazing book, a very dear friend. It's so amazing to talk to him always. You'll get to listen to Suresh, where Suresh is heading Nestle. He's going to share his experiences around leadership and coaching. So you'll find some amazing conversations coming from Jonathan, Rajesh. Somebody's going to talk about storytelling and how we need to tap into your own story so that you can give birth to a new sense of identity, on emotions, on neuroscience, on different experiences, on gratitude, on demo sessions, so on spirituality. That is what we are going to talk about, right? This is what you can going to have in the 36 hours non-stop coaching conversation. Now, here's a special offer that I'm going to give you. Now, this offer is open only for half an hour, right? If you're ready to tap into that offer, just type yes in the chat box, and I'm going to give you the special offer. What are the special discounts that you're going to get? Quickly, just type yes in the chat box. And this is for people who have not yet registered, right? So quickly tap in, just type yes, and I'm going to share the offer with you. Okay, last 10 seconds, 10, 9, quickly, 9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now stop. Let me share the offer with you. Why I've asked you to stop, because I would want my team member, as I say, please go ahead. I would ask my team member to share the link here. You just have to click on the link and just quickly go and take the special offer, right? And I promise you, right? Why are we doing it? People ask me, why are you doing that at such an economic rate? Because this is not at all a business for us. I remember the very first day I got into coaching, I thought that, hey, this is a good cause to evangelize, right? I'm here to evangelize coaching worldwide. I'm on a mission to make sure we have got 1 million coaches only in India. Just imagine that, right? 1 million is a little pretty big number, right? Let me just revisit that. Let me just regulate that. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a special offer for you. Exclusive offer only for today, and that's 2 for the next 15 minutes. Right? If you register today, right now, in the next 15 minutes, so the link is already there in the chat box. Now, let me just explain it to you. If you look at 3, so in case you apply for the basic one, you're not going to get the CC unit. CC unit is something that you can actually use for your ACC and PCC credentials. If you apply for the advanced access, you're going to get 20 CC units from ICF. You're going to get 36 hours of coaching marathon. Of course, recording, you're going to get 10. You'll have a lot of demo sessions that you'll get to listen to. At the same time, if you go for the Pro access, you're going to get 42 CC units, which is crazy. On an average, if you just go and look for the CC units in the world, what you're going to get is, on an average, a CC unit is going to cost you around 2,000 bucks, right? 2,000 INR I'm talking about. So that means if you're going for 42, it's going to cost you 80,000 bucks, which is above $100. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, which is over $100. No, which is like $1,000, which is over $1,000 it's going to cost you. But in case you are going to click the link right now, you're going to get it at 9734, which is dirt cheap, right? So please click on the link and avail 50% discount. And if you move from basic up, you will get the discounted rate. So Sangeeta, you will get the discounted rate. So what is the Atkinson program? There's a program which you'll be given access on Resilience by Marilyn Atkinson. So quickly click on and enjoy. Quickly. Super. Yes, in case you want, you can get the access right now doing the recording, the basic access. You will get what should I pay the difference. This Aishwarya can assist you. What if I've already paid for the basic? You can actually move to the next level. I already have the pro access. Congratulations, you will get the CC units as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet registered, I promise you, you should not miss this opportunity, right? Now I'm going to stop the share and come back to Florian. Florian, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you. And
thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be part of this amazing tour. I very much look forward to the event. It's very often, you know, and I want to add one more sentence to the question of balance. Very often, yeah, we feel like when we talk about spiritual practice and coaching and think, gee, but I'm working with business people, and they come to me with very basic questions like work-life balance. As coaches, we always hear about work-life balance. And I always point out, and this is a good example, if the mere concept is wrong. Because first, work is not life. And secondly, all of us who've ever seen one of those old-fashioned scales, you know, in a grocery store that has the balance, that's what we talk about. The more apples you put on one side, the more weights you have to put on the other side to keep it in balance, which means the more you work, the more life, or how does it work? The whole model is wrong. Yeah? And this, for me, this is often an opening to talk to my learner, to my coachee, to my client who comes here with a very so-called practical question to open up to a spiritual path. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the question is, where is the need to get balance and what does that mean to me? So thank you so much, Florian. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to see you at the Coaching Conclave 2021. I promise you, we are going to bring to you some amazing, grounded, pure beings to talk about their journey on coaching. And in case you already have registered, You may want to move to the next level. In case you have not yet registered, the CC units are going to help you to renew your ACC, renew your PCC. On the platform, you'll get an access so that you can actually network with people from different walks of life. There are people who are joining us from over 70 countries, right? So this is going to be mind blowing. I'm super excited, looking forward. I don't know how we are going to sustain that, but I'm sure with your love, your blessings, and your encouragement, we will be able to do something which is worth considering and worth learning from. Take care. See you next time in yet another coaching conclave. Stay blessed. Take care.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.